Hey y'all, and welcome to my video on the Progressive Era. So, the Progressive Era started in about 1890 and lasted till 1920. It was a period in which a lot of inventions were created, and because of these inventions, factories were made to increase these inventions, and industrialism had really taken off, like right before this period, even, and it was growing steadily popular, but well, not, I wouldn't say popular. See, the thing is, it was happening. It was just a fact of life. It was happening. But the problem was it had some great effects as it made things available to people in mass production that were never available before, and there were a lot of good effects, but there were also some really bad ones. Like really bad. So the progressive era started sort of as a backlash against the growing industrialism. So, like, why would people backlash? Isn't this great? Well, the thing is, industrialism is, according to Merriam-Webster, social organization in which industries, and especially large-scale industries, are dominant. So people were upset with this because they were greatly abusing the working class by giving poor wages and long hours to the men. And because they did this, it forced their wives and children to work too. And since women and children aren't exactly, super experienced in the work field at this time, they got taken advantage of by their employers and were given really bad wages. And since the children were in the factories and not in school, this caused generational poverty because the children, when they grew up, didn't have anything to teach their children except for how to be poor. And this was a serious issue. Not to mention that the factories that all these people worked in were unsafe and filthy. So things really needed to change, and people began to see that. And so they started to take action through several different means. And through their action, things really changed. The effect was tremendous. Not only were the factories improved, but racism began to be recognized as an evil. I mean, it didn't get fixed overnight. Believe me, it was not fixed by the end of this era, not even close. But it began to be recognized as an issue. And people gained votes for women. And this factory problem I was just talking about, it did eventually improve. Of course, it's still a bit of a problem, but it got a lot better. For instance, now we have the Federal Meat Inspection Act. That's good. The little meat inspectioner. Yeah, meat inspector. Okay, we also have our kids in school now and not in factories because it's against the law for them to be working. Yay, laws. So yeah, great improvement. So how did all this happen? Well, one major way this happened was because of the muckrackers. Now, the muckrackers were people who worked for the news and such. You can see the little news hat. So they didn't just work for the news, though. They wrote for magazines, and they wrote books, mainly, too. Most of these are books. So they wrote books like The Jungle, The Theory of the Leisure Class, Wealth Against Commonwealth. And they did write in, like I said, magazines, such as McClure's, and they had great effect. People were appalled, and businesses began to change, and even got into politics. President Theodore Roosevelt, because of the book The Jungle, made the Meat Inspection Act. Right here. See this? It's called Inspection, which is good. Thank you, Teddy. Okay, one famous muckracker was Ray Stannard Baker, and he wrote Following the Colored Line, an account of Negro citizenship in American democracy. And because of this, he was one of the first journalists to seriously speak out against America's racial divide. And this is good because that's a really serious issue, and they began to finally begin to see it as an issue and began to work on that. The other major way that the improvements were accomplished was organized labor unions. So the organized labor unions were basically groups of workers. They all bound together to stand up rights and work together and support each other. So some of the practical goals were to get higher wages, shorter hours, and safer working conditions. And some of the groups aimed to help specific types of people. So like the National Women's Union League, that aimed to help, women, and the NAACP aimed to help colored people, as both of them are pretty obvious in the names. They weren't exactly subtle people. And so they got most of their goals done. A lot of times, they threaten strikes or actually use strikes, and that was their main mode, but they also sometimes had government investigations, and some resorted to violence, but not all of them, though. So, yeah. Please don't be violent in your unionness. That'd be great. So, the Progressive Era not only changed people's living and working conditions, but also changed the way they thought. I mean, let's imagine that this guy's gonna be he's gonna be a progressive president. He wants to be a progressive president. What would his political platform be for the 2020 elections? Well, I'd imagine that the candidate would promote a new America, in which so his new America would be a country in which people of all genders and ages could have lives worth living and be treated with the respect they deserve. The candidate would argue that he or she would implement this massive change through new laws that would help improve the quality of the life of the masses in this new America. We'd use the word new and mass a lot because those are really popular terms if you didn't notice by overemphasizing of the word. So basically, the president would be a man of the future, and that was kind of the attitude of all the people. They looked towards the future with hope and wanted to improve situations now, and they really had hope in progress, making progression through life. Hence the name Progressive Era. So thank you for watching the video. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this. If there's any way I can make progress on this for the future, I'd appreciate. Alright, if you just let me know about that. So, thank you so much, and have a great one.